And up next, I have Matt Francis, who is a senior software developer with Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to have you here. I understand that you just played an arena this morning.
Yes,
in
I
Vegas.
just played Vegas.
Fantastic.
It was a bizarre, surreal experience, but now I can say that I've performed at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas alongside people such as, I don't know who else, but...
Time to update the LinkedIn profile.
I think so, yeah. I haven't done that yet. I must do that.
Fantastic. So when you're not entertaining at MGM, I understand you're also a Zen Master.
Yes, I am, yes.
Cool. And that was in 2014? Or?
That was, yes. So I got awarded Zen Master in 2014, and I'm also a 2015 one as well.
Fantastic. That is a pretty elite bunch. There's 20 or 30 of you each year chosen,
Yeah,
right?
so it's a group of individuals, and there are, this year there's 21.
Yep.
The number can go up, it can go down. There's no guarantee if you're Zen Master this year, you'll be Zen Master next year. It's all done on your kind of the last year's contribution to the community. But it's a pretty awesome bunch of people.
Fantastic. And how did you become part of this elite organization?
So I've been using Tableau for about 4 years now. Discovered it kind of accidentally. We had a group visit us from the Broad Institute in Boston.
Okay.
And they do very similar to what we do at the Sanger, and they were showing us some dashboards they were using to track how their lab process was working. And I looked at it and thought, well, that looks really smart. I love how they're doing this. Had a conversation with the guy that was doing the presentation. Said, oh, it's this Tableau software, give it a go. So I downloaded the demo.
Yep.
And then I was just plugged it into one of our production databases, and I was just sort of dragging and dropping and building stuff that used to take hours and days to do, and thought, well, this is really cool. So I went to go and see our head of department and say, look, I found this. This is really smart. Asked me a question, and just asking questions about what was our productivity like, what's the data quality like, and I was just pulling this stuff in together, and it was great just to see the eyes light up and thinking, wow, this is something that we could really use.
Absolutely.
And so during the day, I use it to analyze our production statistics. So we're a large genome sequencing facility, so we do DNA sequencing.
Got it.
We were part of the Human Genome Project.
Wow, cool.
To sequence the complete genome of one person. Now we do thousands of genomes and do comparative genomics looking for differences. We have researchers looking into things such as malaria and cancer, and using this data to advance sort of healthcare and sort of trying to make the world a better place.
Very cool.
And so, using Tableau, we analyze our pipelines, which is basically like a factory producing all this data to make sure, what's the turnaround time like? Is it getting slower? What's the data quality like? Have we got peaks and troughs? How can we even all of this out, get good value for money? So that sort of pays the bills. And then offline, I started sort of writing a blog and just started playing with the data, making interesting things, and some of the dashboards that I've made on silly little subjects about, for example, the first one I made was if you eat fast food, how much exercise have you got to do to burn off that burger? And
that is something Americans can especially leverage right there. I'm just saying.
There's a whole side of supersizing thing going on that's Yeah.
I'm going to propagate that blog everywhere.
That's right. And I did that, and I wanted to make it look not like a normal visualization, so I made it look like a fast food menu. So you select your things from the menu, and it says, if you want to burn this off, you've got to do a run for an hour and a half, or do sort of jump rope, or do something silly like skydiving, or something like this. And it just kind of grew from there, and I got active with the community online, on Twitter and on the forums.
Cool.
And just found all these other people that were, like me, who liked exploring data, playing with data. And what's really been great is the community around Tableau, and the support that Tableau gives back to the community is really great as well, that it feels like this big family. I said about this conference, I said a quote that the Tableau conference is pretty much like Woodstock or NAMM. If you weren't there, you don't know. And it's a very unique experience. It's not a business conference. It's more like a family reunion, because you're kind of seeing these people that you interact with on such a regular basis on social media and on the forums. And there's guys here that I've met for the first time and had a conversation with, who I've been talking with virtually for sort of 2 years.
Right.
And now I realise, they have a voice. They have a body below
a human
the neck.
entity. It's not a Turing machine.
Exactly. It's this thing on here, which that's I think what makes the Tableau community really special in that the forums are great for getting questions answered. And one of the things about the Zen Masters is they're people who not only have a real good mastery of the product, but they want to share that and help people do that.
Right.
And some Zen Masters have strengths in sort of different areas. So some people are really good with some of the really intense table calculations. Other people are really good at doing dashboards. Some are good at doing action. Some crazy people are kind of hacking Tableau and making it do things that you never thought it was even possible to do. They're making blackjack games out of it and roulette out of it.
Right.
And that's really inspiring. But what it also means is that people playing with Tableau in that way, those little techniques that you pick up in playtime, you can then bring back into the workspace as well. So it kind of encourages you to play. And being part of the community, you kind of feed off everybody this energy, which is also what you get at conference. Conference is such a great way to get re-energized.
Right.
The trick is when you get back to your day job is to keep that energy kind of going. And having such a vibrant community is ideal for that, because you keep kind of touching base with people and getting that little jolt all the way along.
Right, and new things, learning new things all the time from coworkers in a very open sharing environment. So another big thing that keeps you rolling, I'm sure, is the pretty aggressive feature rollouts that Tableau does as well. What are some of the more recent ones that you yourself have taken advantage of, and what are some of the ones at the keynote that really got you jazzed up?
The ones that really got me in the keynote particularly is the data preparation aspect. So I've spoken to this before with people that I think that the data storage is kind of a done deal. We know how to store data, and there's loads of different ways of storing your data, depending on what it is, and there's big databases, little databases, graph databases. That's good. And there's loads of ways of visualizing your data, and Tableau is a fantastic way of visualizing data. And it takes the data and it kind of holds your hand and says, with this kind of data, this is a really good visualization, or I want to create this visualization, what do I need? But the hard bit's kind of sometimes the data's not quite in the right shape, or it's not in the right kind of format, and you need to kind of do this transformation. And so the stuff that they talked about in the keynote, cross database joins. It's fantastic because we have data that's spread all over different databases. We have tracking databases in MySQL, in Oracle, we have Excel spreadsheets. Being able to combine them all together into a single unified data source and then apply filtering across that will solve so many problems. The one thing that I think got my biggest reaction was date formats. Hearing that they did some research and found there's 250 different date formats used in Tableau Public was crazy. So they kind of took all this information in and have now made Tableau that bit more intelligent, so it can say, this is a date, and turn it into a date format, which is kind of what you want it to do. Right. So I think that's going to save people so much more time to enable them to just play with the data and explore and get the information out of the data without having to do all this things behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Some of the advanced analytics stuff about clustering was really interesting. So you have your data, and I don't know if there's outliers or clustering. And how would I even go about I don't know how I'd go about find that now. I'd have to go and do some calculations, go and ask somebody help. But it's going to be right there in there. And it was interesting sitting in the front of the keynote with sort of the Zen Masters. So we constantly pester the dev team to say, here are the issues that we're constantly having to help people out with. Fix it, come up with the idea, and we constantly do it. So it almost felt like a love letter to the Zens of the and
they're writing you back.
Exactly, but it's so lovely that you have the developers on stage sharing this thing. It's like, the joy that you get at Christmas when you give a gift to somebody. So these are all gifts and toys that we can then play with. It's great to be able to let them give it to us rather than it come from somebody who hasn't worked on it. They can get the immediate feedback from the crowd. And I was talking to one of the devs earlier. He said it was this experience where they did that, and then the crowd stand up. There's people clapping and cheering, standing ovations for this thing that I've worked on. And it gives total kind of they just want to go back and do more. Yeah. And I overheard one of the you just with everything they kind of showed, you kind of think, well, we don't have to do this workaround anymore. We don't have to do this hack anymore. That makes that bit redundant. And people and myself and a couple of others were sort of thinking, okay, that blog post that I wrote on how to get around this, that's not going to be visited anymore. So my blog hits are going to drop. As you no longer need to have this workaround. It just works straight off. Which is, that's good. But I think the pace of innovation and the things they keep adding is fantastic. And the fact that they listen to the community. Yeah. How they decide what products to put in. On the Tableau forum, there's an ideas page.
I've heard, yep.
And, I would encourage anybody who's using Tableau, and if it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do, and you've got an idea to make it great, and it doesn't matter if it's really complicated or really simple, because sometimes the little, those little annoying things, the little niggles, it's different. If it can't do something at all, that's annoying because I can't do that. But if it's an annoying thing that you have to do every single time,
like Word reformatting my document as I'm typing.
Yeah, and it niggles every time, and you just get wound up by it. And if you've got those issues, post them on the ideas forum, because everybody else will agree that they're an issue, and it gets voted up. And then when they come to do the next round of development, they go to this list and they look at the list, and they say, okay, what do the community want us to do? What's the most pressing things? And they start picking a few of those off there. So if you've got issues that you have to deal with all the time, put it in the ideas forum, get it documented, and it might end up in the product. And
then it's a Reddit type upvote, downvote model.
Exactly, yeah. And that's a great feeling, because then you've helped influence the software that you love playing with.
Right.
And it's a great thing to kind of see. You might see a little bit in there that think, oh, that's part of me now. I gave that to the world, and now everybody else gets to benefit from my little idea.
Totally. And we're all in this together, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been in technology for, I'm guessing, 15, 20 years, something like that. So have you worked in any other environment, even open source projects, where you felt the same type of community? You have other parallels you can draw? Is this something unique?
So I've worked at the Sanger for sort of 17 years now, and I think the interesting. So Tableau, it still feels like has that kind of startup kind of feel to it.
Yep.
Which I think is a great credit to everybody that works at Tableau, who've managed to, even with the success and the growth, it feels different. And I think the size and the scale of the conference has grown. It's 10,000 people, so almost double what it was last year. Next year, it might be even bigger, but it still feels very intimate and special. I think it's interesting now that more Tableau customers are coming without having the community feel. When Tableau started up, if you were active in the community, you were a greater percentage of the overall users, because the user base was relatively small. Now Tableau is very successful, and it's getting to the top of a lot of, it comes out really well in the sort of Gartner Magic Quadrant. Mm-hmm. More and more Tableau users are coming in from kind of that angle of being given Tableau to use, and they might see it as just a tool.
Right.
So you get slightly different makeup, but I would say, embrace the community, and there's so much more there. Tableau recently introduced the Tableau Community Ambassadors, which are a group of guys that help out on the forum. Some of the guys answer their post hits on the forum are ridiculous. The number, and it seems that all they do must be just to answer people's questions. It's crazy.
They've got a clone. It's like the Prestige. It's a twin brother.
I think it must be. It's the only explanation that they can do. I don't know where they fit anything else in, like normal time. But the Social Ambassador program is great because it now also recognises that these people, contribute that to that. And they might be through social media, or it might be through the forum. And it's great that Tableau recognises that. I think the lifeblood of Tableau is that community. And it's certainly what kind of drives the Zens to make the product better, because that serves the community, and then that can make Tableau better for everybody.
That is very cool. And how long, start to finish, have you been playing? You say you tripped into it accidentally. How many years ago was that?
About 4 years ago.
So 4 years from accidentally having inherited this to Zen Master. That's a pretty quick ramp up period.
I think if somebody has said, when I downloaded the demo for the first time and kind of plugged it into that data set, if somebody came along to me and said, you know what, in 4 years' time, you're going to be in Las Vegas, and you're going to be MGM Grand on stage giving a talk on there, I'd have said something that's not fit for broadcast, I think. But it's happened. It's been a pretty crazy ride. But one I've quite enjoyed doing, and one I want to carry on. I don't want to get off this ride.
Fantastic. And you have a presentation right after this. What is that?
So I'm going to go and see a fellow Zen Master, Chuck Hooper, go and talk about storytelling.
Okay,
which I'm looking forward to.
So essentially, I believe Neil deGrasse is coming on here shortly at the same stage that you were at 4:45 for us. You've seen Neil before, right?
Yes.
Can you give us a hint as to what to expect?
It's fantastic. The way that he can take, his energy about it fits very well with Tableau. The energy that he has for astronomy and science, he just wants people to understand it and just give it to them. And you will absolutely love it. I can't wait.
Cool. We'll see you there.
See you there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt Francis.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Enjoy your session.
Thank you.